Hi everybody, my name's Steve Rolston. I'm the founder of Land Ark Homes and Watercolour Westport. And today we're here with Stefan Magneron, my friend from Homesol Building Solutions. Stefan, can you tell us a little bit about what your firm does for home builders?
Absolutely. So Homesol works with builders, clients, homeowners to make their homes more energy efficient, more comfortable. We call ourselves energy conservation consultants. So we do the evaluations of homes, whether they're off building plans or of the existing home, and then we'll run it through an energy model and then provide advice, third-party advice on how to implement changes that will achieve the goals. And then we also provide air tightness testing as a big part of our service, because that can be a low-hanging fruit as far as reducing energy consumption or energy waste and making a house more comfortable and durable.
And can you explain to people what it means to build a net zero ready home?
So to build a net zero ready home requires consultation for building science principles, energy modeling, working with a builder to come up with the minimum specs that would achieve their performance goals under the Canadian Home Builders Association's Net Zero Home Labeling Program. There are minimum requirements that need to be met, so we provide that and make sure that the client meets all those minimum requirements, and then it's a matter of, okay, well, what dials can we turn to achieve the level of performance that's required. Then we do the energy modeling, and there's usually quite a few iterations until we come up with a set of specifications that the builder can then go ahead and build. Then during construction, we'll do an air tightness test to make sure that the pass-fail air tightness test requirement is achieved. And then at final, just before closing, we'll do a final verification and air tightness test again, just to make sure that it's all buttoned up and make sure that everything that we've modeled has been installed. From that, we'll then give or produce an NAGA label and also the Net Zero Ready label.
The way I learned it for the Net Zero Builder training is they need to be designed, modeled, constructed, verified, and certified with that all-important label, that they can produce as much energy as they consume. So this has been interesting, because we're trying to talk today about third-party verification. The fact that it all starts with you is you've helped us come up with the performance path and the product path to build these net zero ready homes. They're ready for solar power. But can you help people to understand how they would go about providing themselves with a solar power solution, say 6 months after occupancy?
Absolutely. Once a home is occupied, 6 months after occupancy, they're considered an existing house. And they have access to the loans and grant programs that are available for retrofits. At that point, we can come in and reevaluate the house. We can streamline the process because we've already done it as a new construction, but we still have to evaluate it as an existing house. So 6 months after occupancy, we can come in, take photos, verify what the condition is like at that time, do another blower door test or air tightness test, and then produce another NAGA label that we can submit for any grant or loan applications. And that can go towards adding on or fully achieving net zero perhaps. It really depends. The beauty with that is the homeowner has 6 months of occupied living experience in the house, and so they'll have a fairly good sense of how much energy they're using, at least for that first 6 months. Ideally, it could be a year, because then it goes through all seasons, and they'll have a really great idea of how much energy they're using or they're consuming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell people a little bit about, as well, what aero barrier does? Because we're going to be interviewing Gary Sharp in just a moment. Can you just, in your words, explain to people why air sealing is so important in the achieving net zero ready standards?
There are so many advantages to great air tightness. Building durability is one of the main reasons why air tightness became codified to a certain degree and discussed initially because of all the moisture transfer that happens through air leaks, much greater than through vapor diffusion. So from a building durability perspective, air tightness is number one. The other advantages, very briefly, are comfort, less energy waste, and if air leaks can't happen in party wall situations for attached units, then also noise, odors, smoke don't transfer through those common elements. So lots of advantages to great air tightness, to achieving great air tightness. AeroBarrier, or AeroSeal Envelope, as I believe they're called now, is a wonderful product and service that enhances a building's air barrier strategy. So during construction, or perhaps as an existing building even, they'll come in and apply their aerosolized gel inside the house. They'll spray it in, fill the house up with this gel, and then pressurize the house. And as this gel is escaping through all the cracks and crevices that make up the air leaks of the building, it self-seals. So in that process, it brings homes from a certain level of air leakage and reduces that amount of air leakage by up to 70-80%, which is incredible. It's something that's been missing in the industry, and it's great that they're providing this service.
And can you explain to people what the National Building Code average home that you're seeing, how many air changes they have per hour versus what the mandate is to be a net zero ready home, what the differential is that you've seen?
Sure. Well, building codes, if we look at National Building Code, it assumes 2.5 ACH. Ontario Building Code assumes 3.0 ACH.
And ACH being air changes per hour?
Thank you, yes. Air changes means air changes per hour. ACH means air changes per hour, which is essentially when we depressurize the house down to negative 50 pascals, it's the equivalent of about a 40 or 50 k an hour wind on all sides of the building. So we're emphasizing that that pressure difference to create that air leakage. And then in 1 hour at that pressure, the entire volume of air will exchange by that much. So if it's 3 ACH, then 3 times the volume of air gets switched over. So you can see from that perspective what implication that has on the energy bill, because that will have to get reheated or reconditioned, whether it's summer or winter. The net zero program has a limit for detached homes of 1.5 ACH. And I should also point out that there is another metric that is used for air tightness. It's called the normalized leakage rate, and so NLR, and it's essentially the flow of air at that negative 50 pascals divided by the square foot of the enclosure. So CFM per square foot of surface area.
CFM being cubic feet per minute.
Cubic feet per minute, that's right. And the reason for this different metric is ACH, or air changes per hour, is very volumetric. It's advantageous to be a bigger building with more volume because of that measure. Whereas smaller homes, it's a little bit more difficult to meet a great air tightness using ACH. The NLR, CFM per square foot of surface area, it tests a building's surface where the air is actually leaking, which is important to know. So if we look at it from a net zero perspective, a detached home will need 0.10 CFM per square foot to pass. And that can translate to a slightly higher ACH depending on the size of the house. So it gets a little bit complicated, but it's important to understand because I think that NLR, the CFM per square foot, is going to supersede ACH with respect to codes and the pass-fail air tightness level.
Okay.
Yeah, so smaller homes like attached units will typically pass or achieve a better NLR than an ACH. So it helps even out the playing field from that perspective.
That's good to hear it in your words as opposed to mine. So yeah, what we're trying to cover today is this whole idea of third-party verification. So for years, when we've done these videos, we've shouted out the whole walkability aspect of Watercolour Westport. And the number one resource we have to explain that is this Smart Growth Manual by Andreas Dwani. Feel free to drop by the model home. It's about 140 things a builder or a developer could do to enhance the walkability of a community. And when Gord Cook, our building knowledge guy, was here a year ago, he shared with me a book by the Department of Energy chief architect of their energy program, Sam Raskin, and it's called Housing 2.0, a disruption survival guide. And one of our homeowners read this past summer. I had only read the sales and marketing chapter, if I'm brutally honest. He had read all 400 pages. And as he pointed out, there's this whole idea of third-party verification and validation. So Thrive Builders in Colorado, they have a number of 4 different third-party validations. But what we realized here at Watercolour Westport and Land Ark is we have Stefan as our number one guy who does this whole idea of third-party verification, because he's our whole home solution for figuring out what it takes to build net zero. And then there's Blue Water Energy, so they provide the full solar solution before occupancy. So that way people could know, oh, if I'm interested in solar, wow, I can ask Land Ark Homes and they'll provide me with the full solar solution. If they're interested in making this their right next place to live. Then we have Aero Barrier, as we mentioned. We're going to interview Gary Sharp in just a minute. But then we've also had the CHBA Net Zero Builder Training, which you provide. So can you tell people about what it takes to become a CHBA Net Zero Builder trained and certified builder?
Well, there are easy steps to become a qualified net zero builder. And I hope I get this right off the top of my head. So the first one is to be a member of a Homebuilders Association. It is a Homebuilders Association program. So being a member is a key part of it. The second one is training. So you must go through the Net Zero Builder training, and that starts with the Advanced Building Science course, and then the Net Zero Builder course. And for those who dabble in renovation, then there's a Net Zero Renovator course. Energy advisors like myself also have to go through that training to become a qualified Net Zero Energy Advisor. And that's another step in the process. So the intent with this is to make sure that the builders and renovators and energy advisors are all educated with respect to the current state of how to build a net zero home without any unintended consequences. So fortunately, I'm also a qualified net zero trainer, so I'm able to provide these training services to anyone who's interested.
Thank you, Stefan. Because yeah, we think this is a pretty big deal, and we're trying to be the poster boy for this type of walkable community that's sustainable and attainable. But the other thing that we think is neat is the fact that the National Research Council gives us this sticker. And, you know, there's Homesol as number 1, Blue Water Energy number 2, Aero Barrier number 3, because they provide us with a air sealing certificate. We'll talk about that in a moment with Gary. But then there's the training that we've had, that all of our team have had. And then there's the National Research Council sticker and the third-party endorsement and verification. So can you speak to us a little bit about that, what that means?
So the beauty with third-party labeling is that you do have someone else looking at the project. You have a second set of eyes, essentially, and a formal method of creating this label and a process and consequences to certain actions. So it's under an authority. So the verification process is critical, because now you have a sticker or a label or a certificate that says you have achieved the performance target set out by this program. whereas others in the community might be saying we build to this standard, but we don't get it checked or verified and there is no sticker. So there's a lot of importance to that sticker, which is why the Canadian Home Builders Association requires a photo of the stickers to be on the electrical panel to be included in the file submission, because they want it there, front and center, to say this is a net zero home. So as part of the labeling process for a net zero home, a home is labeled with an NAGA sticker that shows the gigajoules per year. This in particular shows that it's zero, so it's a full net zero home, meaning that it's modeled to a certain energy consumption, and it has the solar panels or the renewables added to it at the time of completion to reach 0 gigajoules per year. So that's a phenomenal label on its own, which has a huge impact on the real estate industry. This is the net zero home that shows a little bit of information about the home, and that's the net zero home sticker. Land Ark Homes are also an Energy Star builder, so they have an Energy Star for New Homes sticker attached to this panel as well.
What we realized we're very fortunate to have as well is 2 other third-party verifications. From the Ontario New Home Warranty Program, we've been twice nominated as the Builder of the Year. So those little trophies are over my shoulder, so we think that's pretty cool. And also from the American National Association of Home Builders, NAHB, we're the only Canadian home builder ever to have been nominated as being America's best builder. So we don't think that's anything special, quite frankly, nor is the Terrion thing. It's just treating people the way you and I have gotten to know one another, is with respect and honor and dignity and appreciation that you're doing what you do, and we're just trying to do what we think anyone would do if they were a home builder, is just treat people the way they would want to be treated. But we just thought those are kind of a neat little thing that nobody else can say they've won those awards either, because this is just all about treating and connecting people, we think, to nature and to neighbor and building community. So that's about it for today, and we want to thank you for being here and for watching this video, and please check out
Homesol Building Solutions.